Hello, one and all. Welcome back to yet another movie review. And this time I shall be reviewing The Breakfast Club. Criterion Edition. Oh, God, this is a lovely thing. And I have wanted to talk about this movie God knows long. This stupid little hair. There we go. Because of my sunglasses. And yes, I am going Judd Nelson-y cosplay. Because he kind of like me in some way. So, The Breakfast Club is directed and written by John Hughes. Stars Judd Nelson, Molly Ringwald, Ali Sheedy, Anthony Michael, Emilio Estevez, Paul Gleason. And this film came out in 1985, linked with other great films from that year, such as Back to the Future and The Goonies. And this is quite possibly my favourite coming-of-age film of all time. Probably will ever always be. And guys, if you have not seen The Breakfast Club, I mean, come on. Go watch this movie. Hey, people born every day, whatever. Go see The Breakfast Club. It's one of my all-time favourites. Go on and watch it. So, The Breakfast Club, basically, 5 school students on Saturday have to spend a full day in detention for their committed crimes. While they are in detention, Principal Vernon, played by Paul Gleason, has to be at the school to make sure that they are in demand in detention. So, whenever The Breakfast Club was on Netflix back in lockdown, I was flicking through Netflix back in 2020, whenever COVID was a thing. I flicked through Netflix. Then whenever I first saw The Breakfast Club, I never saw it before, I was like, yep, I'm watching it. Boy, I could never stop thinking about this movie back then, and yet it is probably one of the most 80s films out there. This feels more than an 80s film, and yet from the beginning it just sort of feels like a comedy and then sort of turns into a drama in some way. And so we start off the movie with this David Bowie quote, which, funny enough, Ali Sheedy suggested that to John Hughes. And then, of course, you see the 5 students go into the classroom, and then Principal Vernon, who is pretty much an asshole to the students. Like, he is just pretty much raging at them. John Bender in particular, and I simply love when John Bender says, "Does Barry Manilow know you rate his wardrobe?" Like, it really starts to get into comedy, and yet they're all just sitting there. Plus, these 5 students do not know each other. They simply do not know each other whatsoever until the movie progresses and they start communicating one another. And to say the least, Judd Nelson, who almost got fired by John Hughes because he was completely in character, like, throughout the movie. Well, John Bender and Principal Vernon, the 2 characters, hate each other, but the actors do not. Paul Gleason's like, John Hughes, Judd Nelson knows what he's doing, keep him. And so they've kept Judd Nelson, and Judd Nelson is phenomenal as John Bender. Like, he really is just constantly making fun and not giving a shit to what the other students say to him. Like, what a character he is. Like, particularly with Molly Ringwald, who plays Claire Standish, who is the pretty woman in the movie. You know, John Bender's the criminal. Then you have Alison Reynolds, who's the basket case. You have Brian Johnson, who's the brain. Then you have Andrew Clark, who is the athlete. And they all simply play their part so well. And yet, whenever Bender closes the door, I love the dynamic between him and Vernon. The dialogue is so crispal. I've got you for the rest of your natural born life if you don't watch your step. I've got ya. Like, they really outrage each other. And I simply love when Vernon walks out of the door. Bender's like cursing at him, fuck you, using the F word. And then of course the movie just progresses and they all start communicating each other. And then Bender also unloads at Claire, saying, Claire's a fat girl's name. And I love the part where whenever Andrew Clark, played by Emilio Estevez, is trying to attack him, trying to protect Claire. And then I love how Alison just takes the knife away. It's funny. It cracks me up whenever Alison just takes the knife away from Bender. It's so funny. And then you have another supporting character in this movie. You have Carl Reed, who is like the caretaker, if that's what America uses, I think, anyway. I mean, we use in the UK anyway. And so then you get to probably one of the best scenes of the movie, the lunch scene, where everyone's having lunch except Bender. He's just jealous of everyone's lunch. You know, sushi, you're not gonna accept a guy's tongue in your mouth, you're gonna eat that. You know? And it's also really funny, like whenever Alison is making a crisp sandwich, you know, he's putting crisps and sugar on top. And then, of course, then Bender, of course, makes fun of Brian's lunch as well. This is a very nutritious lunch. All food groups are represented. Did your mum marry Mr. Rogers? No, Mr. Johnson? Like, when do you get movies like that anymore? It's just coming-of-age movies that you get now these days, they're just nothing compared to this. Like, what the heck? And then later on, Alison Reynolds, who is quite possibly my favourite character in the movie, I think. She is possibly the most well-written character, I think. Like, she's constantly giving suspicious looks at all the characters. You know, she's refusing to talk until later on in the film. And then she's like talking to Andrew, saying, my parents ignored me. And yet The Breakfast Club is a movie that really shows why these characters are like that. Then, of course, you have the circle scene where all 5 of the characters are discussing what they did to get into detention. Earlier in the film, it was mentioned that John Bender pulled a fire alarm, I think. Then Andrew Clark taped someone's buns together. And then in a deleted scene. So spoilers if you haven't seen any of the deleted scenes. There was a deleted scene where Claire Standish, Molly Ringwald was saying, I skipped school to go to the mall of some sort. And then Brian Johnson said he had a gun and a lot. Good. And then Ali Sheedy, Alison Reynolds says, I had nothing better to do. So that's pretty much your answer to why they're in detention, to say the least. And then you have quite possibly a very debate moment on Claire helping Alison look pretty as her. Like Alison no longer has the hair in front of her eyes, it's behind. And then I get why people don't like that. Then again, here's the thing, this was like for Andrew to sort of compliment her, I guess. And then of course you have Brian, because he's the clever one technically, who's writing the essay. What we found out was each one of us was a brain, an athlete, a basket case, princess, and a criminal. Does that answer your question? Sincerely yours, The Breakfast Club. And I love whenever John Bender just fist pumps his wrist in the air. It's pure gold. This is a movie that I will think of for a while. That I would also recommend people watch. It's a movie that I think there isn't enough reviews on YouTube of. I think this movie needs to be looked at, especially if you want to get into movies, you know, and at least watch this once in your life. I mean, I know I did say spoilers, but this is a movie that you should at least watch once in your life, unless you're really into the concept of the movie, and then some. So overall, guys, The Breakfast Club is I don't have any problems with The Breakfast Club. I just think it's a movie that speaks to me in every single level. It's a very relatable film. You can truly feel for these characters, what they did to be in Saturday detention. I love all the characters: John Bender, Claire Standish, Alison Reynolds, Brian Johnson and Andrew Clark, and then of course Richard Vernon and Carl Reed, the caretaker. But if I had a higher grade that I could give The Breakfast Club, I would. But The Breakfast Club absolutely gets an A+. Boy, I love talking old movies. Feels like I'm allowing myself to release my interest properly. But it's fine, guys. There you go. That was my review on The Breakfast Club. So comment down below, let me know below what you guys think of The Breakfast Club. Also, what's your favourite John Hughes film? Let me know below in the comments. Let's have a great discussion down there. And hope you've enjoyed this movie review. As always, if you're new to my channel, please feel free to comment, like, subscribe, share this video, and notify that bell before you leave. And as always, until my next video, I shall see you then, and peace.